Welcome back to another episode of Cutting Chai with HelloUni powered by Imperial. In this following show, we usually call universities to give us some information what has been required by students for their overseas education plans. So if you are an overseas education aspirant, we got you covered. So our today's guest is Miss Mindy from Miami University. She happens to be the Associate Senior Director of International Recruitment. So let's open the stage. Let's begin the show. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here and meet a lot of wonderful students on the opposite side of the camera. Hopefully today they will get to learn a little bit more about Miami University, which I do want to clarify one thing because I know this is my life story as I've been working for Miami University for the last 13 years. And this is the one thing that always confuses students. When I tell students I'm from Miami University, you know what the first state they think of is? Florida. But we're not in Florida. We are Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And a lot of students get us confused with University of Miami in Florida, and they're not even in Miami. So just to kind of clarify that, and also another fun tidbit to share, we were established as a university before Florida became a state. So that kind of gives you a little bit more understanding of how we got our name. Other students have asked, why is it called Miami University if you're not located in Miami? Because we were named after the Native Americans in that region. So it was, the university was built on top of their sacred lands. And so after they left the university, we decided to name it in their honor, and so we called it Miami University. So that's just a little bit of history about where I come from. It's a wonderful university. We're known as a public Ivy League institution. So, a lot of our friends on the opposite end, they know that, hey, there's Harvard, there's Yale. These are all private Ivy League institutions. But for us, as a public Ivy League institution, you're getting that same education that you would get at Harvard or Yale, but at a public school price.
Okay, so coming up with another question I have is what would be the nearest airport to the university?
That is obviously very important. So when I first came to Mumbai, I was very surprised that there were really a lot of flight options to fly from Mumbai to Cincinnati. And the airport code is CVG. So that's how you will actually fly to the US to get to our university. You know the flight path I took when I left Mumbai last time?
What was that?
It flew from Mumbai to London Heathrow, and then from London Heathrow to Cincinnati. That's it.
Oh.
It makes it so much easier, especially our friends who, some of them are traveling to the US for the first time. So the shorter the route, the easier it is, the better. So our airport is an international airport as well. They have flights off that will go to different cities across the US. So if we have someone who is coming to the US for the first time and I want to visit, let's say, Seattle, there are direct flights from our airport to Seattle. It's about a 4-hour flight. There are direct flights to New York, direct flights to Philadelphia. So our airport is very accessible. It's easy to get to from India. It's also easy to get to anywhere in the US from Cincinnati.
So one of the easiest or the most connected university we can say
Yes.
in US. Now coming back to another question, are there any scholarships available for students? Do we offer any sort of scholarships to students?
That's a very good question. And I know it's also very important for a lot of our students as well, because making that decision to go to the US to study is a huge family decision, and we understand that. And in the US, there's the cost of living, and every state has a very different cost of living as well too. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about funding your US education. So one thing great about Ohio is that our cost of living is very affordable. So let's say, for example, a lot of our students love to go to New York, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So we have some students, for example, who love coffee. And everybody knows Starbucks. We have Starbucks here in India. We have Starbucks in the US. So one cup of Starbucks in New York will cost you $8 US. But in Ohio, it's half that price. So think about like how when you switch your currency to US dollars, you want to make the most out of it. So that's one advantage of our education in the state of Ohio. By the way, I know I'm going a little bit off topic, but I also want to say it's also a very safe campus as well, easy to walk around. You really don't need public transportation. You know how you see in movies, there's like lots of green spaces. That's kind of what Miami University is like. It's beautiful. That's what we're known for, is our beauty on campus. But not straying too far from scholarships. I know asked me that question. Is that for undergraduates? Let's start with undergraduate students. Is that all students, when you apply to Miami University, you will automatically be considered for all of our opportunities for scholarships. There's no separate application. Once you apply through the common application, or we have an internal Miami University application, we will automatically consider you for those scholarships. So we want to make the process as easy as possible. There is one scholarship, by the way. It's called a You Are Welcome Here scholarship. This is one where there's an additional essay. So that's one thing that if you have any students who are interested, they have to do that. Full scholarships. I know a lot of students ask about that as well. We have two that are considered full scholarship opportunities. They fall under our Presidential Fellows Program. It is a competitive program, and so if a student is selected, their tuition, housing is all covered. They also get an additional $5,000 to do research, study abroad. So it's a really good opportunity. But for undergraduate students, the priority deadline, let's say you're applying for next fall, it's December 1. So just keep that in mind for the future. But we have merit scholarships, we have international student scholarships. A lot of them are stackable, so it really helps in terms of really extending as much of your scholarship package as possible. So that's undergraduate. Graduate, on the other hand, is a very different story, but I'll touch upon that. In the graduate student world, so there's something called graduate assistantships. Think of that as a graduate version of scholarships for undergraduates. And so usually these programs are competitive. So depending on what kind of master's degree program, what type of PhD program you're applying to, some departments have the ability to fund a student through graduate assistantships. So when they fund you through that, in return, you're teaching a class, you're doing maybe administrative work for a department, or maybe you're doing some type of research for a professor. So all of those fall into the category of graduate assistantships. So just keep in mind they are competitive. So if anything, apply as early as possible, because that really helps sometimes in making sure that we are offering students that opportunity when they apply. Most of the time, graduate programs are funded by the student themselves, but once they're a student at Miami University, there are some opportunities to be considered for assistantships that may fund partially your tuition for that second year. So there are opportunities, but I just want to really clarify with students that undergraduate scholarships and graduate assistantships are kind of a little different in terms of the funding aspect.
But now there are a lot of students who would like to know these things, whether Miami University accept 3 years bachelor.
Oh, that is a wonderful question. And especially when I am, here in India and I meet a lot of students from India, across the different states, that yes, we do accept 3-year bachelor's degree programs. As long as you are graduated from an accredited institution, that's also what we look for as well. But that is something, yes, we are fully aware of that offering here in India, and we do accept that.
Okay, so coming back to our next segment, that happens to be the fun segment of this entire show.
I love it.
It's a rapid fire round, and I'll be asking you a couple of questions. It will be either yes or no or some general knowledge questions, and we'll go ahead.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
so my first question in this segment would be: are you a tea person or a coffee person?
Oh, that's a really tough one. Can I say both?
If given a chance and you only have an option, what would I be? What would you choose?
Maybe I should go with the healthier option, right? Maybe I'll go with tea then.
Okay. So it is not being promoted just because our show is called Cutting Chai with Imperial. It is a personal choice. Okay, what you have been to India, you said.
Yes.
So what would be your one favorite Indian dish? Or if the question is more difficult, if it is getting difficult, what would be those three dishes? What you would choose?
Okay, all right. Well, let's say I were to set a table with some of my favorite dishes from India. So definitely on the table will be biryani of some form. So like that is definitely a top choice for me. I will also have a cup of chai as well. So that would be my beverage of choice. And then I would probably choose like anything with like paneer in it would be another
Okay.
option.
Anything like palak paneer or shahi paneer or
Actually,
something like
you could throw anything out there, and yes, I love all of them.
that.
And it's funny because my colleague, who is based here in India, we like to joke about this because there's this one day, both of us are having breakfast, and he is ethnically Indian, and obviously I'm the foreigner here. So you look at his breakfast plate, and you look at my breakfast plate. His was all American fare. I was having an Indian breakfast instead. So I really enjoy Indian food. And to also share, like, fun fact, like, so I travel across the globe, and I was recently in the Middle East. So in countries like Kuwait, Oman, or like UAE. The first, you would think to try the local food. No, I went straight for the Indian food when I was in those countries. So there is a love for the food here. So, but it's always good to be actually in country and having that.
Okay. So have you seen any of the Bollywood films?
Yes. So, fun fact. So when I attended university, my roommate was actually, yes. So I think she is very gorgeous. And so that was one of my first exposure to Bollywood was back in school.
Okay. So coming back to another question, it's a general knowledge question. By any chance, do you know what is the national bird of India?
I would have to guess the peacock. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Yes.
Peacock is the national bird of India.
Perfect. I get a scholarship for that.
Thank you so much. See, it is that easy to get scholarship in Miami University. Okay, coming back to another set of questions we have. What companies usually are being hired on campus?
Oh, that's a great question. So Miami University is a magnet for Fortune 500 companies. And because of our location, we're very close to Cincinnati, where we have a lot of businesses, engineering and tech companies. And just to kind of tell you a little backstory about Cincinnati, Ohio, is that we have a large Indian population in the city. And so you could also find a lot of wonderful Indian restaurants. Also, even on campus in Oxford, Ohio, you will also find a joint that we think is amazing. Our staff members and students really love it. But I know we also have high standards too. So, I think judging from experts here, you might I'll let you decide once you're on campus. But we have a lot of companies that are within the area. So for example, General Electric, a lot of our engineers get hired there. Procter & Gamble, which is a large global company. For any of our students who are in any of the business fields, like the Big Four accounting firms also hire. So and every spring we have a job fair. And so it's really interesting to see all the students dressed up in suits, and they go around with their resumes and they talk to different employers for opportunities. And then also the banking business is also huge in Cincinnati. So there are also a lot of opportunities there. So whether you're computer science, your business analytics, your biological sciences, there is always something for
and there's
anyone.
opportunities for
Yes,
everybody.
exactly. Yes, that's true.
Okay. So my next question would be, there are lots of boards in India like CBSE, ICSE, National Board, State Board, and many more. So what are the external credential evaluation required for students?
Oh, so here's the thing. For our university, first we have a very talented staff. You do not have to worry about going out and getting any official evaluations from some of these companies. Just know that we have a staff in-house that you can submit. As long as you have your official copies of all your transcripts, send it to us. We will evaluate it in-house. So you do not have to pay, anything for another service to look at your transcripts, because first of all, we have a large student population from India. So we see a lot of your transcripts come in, and so we understand the education system really well. So just rest assured that when you apply to Miami University, we have professionals who fully understand your curriculum, who fully understand the challenges you go through, the exams you take. So that's the one thing we'll take into consideration. In terms of how we review applications, it's very holistic. We don't say that you need a minimum of this, or that. We look at the student holistically, everything from their academics to how involved they were, personal essays. So we want to understand you as a student. So just keep that in mind. I don't want a student to sit there and think like, oh, I might not have a chance, based off of my grades. I want all students to, consider that opportunity because you never know, you might be the type of student that is a good fit for our university.
And any message you have for students, any message you would like to give it to students who are watching this from the other end?
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing I know about students in India is that they're really good at doing their research of different institutions. They come with really well prepared with good questions. And just know that, we have professionals here as well. So feel free, reach out to universities, Imperial overseas if you have any questions, regarding your application. We're happy to help. And then, be open to different types of institutions, but at the same time, ask yourself about the fit. Are you looking for a large university? Are you looking for a small one? Are you looking for something that is in a college town? Are you looking for something that's in a city? So every student is different, and no student is the same, whether they're from northern India or southern India. We want a student to make sure that, the university you end up selecting is someplace that you'll be happy for the time frame that you're completing your degree, because a happy student is also a student who will do really well in their studies and graduate and get really good job opportunities afterwards.
Okay. So let's conclude our show by raising the toast over cutting chai.
Yes. Wow, I'm so excited for this. So cheers.